People don't walk as much in America. They have drive-through everything. And it's almost as if walking is illegal. And it kind of is. It's called jaywalking. In the early 1900s, people rode bikes, walked, and dragged carts around with them. But there were also cars. And if you're selling automobiles, the last thing you want is people on the road and in the way. The car industry came together with a campaign to free the streets for their machines. And that is what led to jaywalking. At first simply a PR exercise, and later it became a law. Get off the roads, you filthy walkers. There's something faster coming through. Babar, Azam and Mohammad Rizwan are not in Pakistan's team for this Asia Cup. Now they haven't been for a while. But what would usually happen is when the tournament comes, the senior stars would come back in. You never truly dropped, just misplaced. And so there was a lot more surprise when Pakistan's squad came out and these two weren't in it. But where the men in green often make their mistakes is in a lack of consequences. If their stars know there's a chance of coming back anyway, why change? Why evolve? Why improve? The call will come. And if you follow through and there is a penalty and you stick by it, then people sit up and change. Babar, Azam and Mohammad Rizwan have been walking through the middle of the T20 road while cars are speeding past them. But when inside, those two stop violent crashes, which is what happened to Pakistan today. Cricket boards actually make watching their games almost impossible now. I spend almost as much time trying to find where I can view it as I do actually following the action. That is why I use NordVPN. They let me find all the cricket I want to watch while protecting me from the nasty side of the internet. Nord will free your cricket matches. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/good areas to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan plus 4 additional months on top. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Watch every match with NordVPN. The singularity is the point at which artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence. When these two bat together, it's the anchor singularity, where slow batters take up so much space, almost no one else is needed. Their style is not really the issue, it's their combination. Like a wide load truck taking up 2 lanes at once. This is the strike rate by year of the combined top 10 ranked sides for T20 internationals. It gives you an idea about what the pass scoring rate has been for each year. And then we have also used Babar Azam, not just when playing for Pakistan, but also in his franchise T20 career. In that time, Babar has been under par compared to normal strikers 4 out of the 10 years. In some ways, this is a little bit unfair because we know the kind of player he is. And despite being one of the biggest stars in the world, when it comes to T20 cricket, he's just slow. The best way to look at this is by true strike rate. 4 of the years we have him as a negative, and another is just holding on. But he's had 5+ years as well. But overall, when we look at his record, he has what we would call a neutral strike rate. But when you factor in his true average and just the sheer amount of runs he has scored, this is a plus player. He's not perfect, which is why he's not here at the moment. But Pakistan does not have a history of incredible T20 batters. In fact, you could take it further and say they have never had a genuinely great T20 bat. Or even that close. The only two with a big chunk of runs are Rizwan and Babar. Only Misbah ever averaged over 30 before that. And of course, he was called the Tuk-Tuk because of the speed of his white ball batting. He's an outlier and not in a good way. But there are 2 others. One was the streets will remember Imran Nazir, and the other is Shahid Afridi, whose numbers still hold up despite T20 being after his peak. So you look at this, and Pakistan have created 2 kinds of T20 batters. Absolute strike rate slappers and tuk-tuks. And almost nothing else in between. Fans might moan about how Babar and Rizwan play, but the biggest question is why they found no one else. It means that Pakistan have created this incredible atmosphere where their 2 best T20 players are also the ones they complain about the most. Babar and Rizwan are saviors and scapegoats at the exact same time. While Babar steals much of the attention, Rizwan is fantastically weird. He went from a par batter in terms of true average and then just supersized it. You have to appreciate a player who really struggled to make something work, only to find a magnificent method. He went from barely a fringe player to someone who's basically impossible to dismiss. But slowing him down is very possible. You barely have to even ask him. He relies on the catch-up innings, getting incredibly set, then looking for boundaries late in the death. By the impact metric, he did have a decent run when he was averaging a load, but he still rarely had much say in games. This year, he's been averaging more than 50, and we still have him as a slight negative on impact. He's facing around a quarter of the deliveries per game, and yet not moving the game forward. It means that the guys at the other end have to go so hard. Anchors are becoming increasingly controversial, but the basic concept remains sound. If Rizwan could stay in for that long, Pakistan is always going to have wickets in hand. The issue for them is that Babar plays the same. In fact, almost identical, like his and hers cars. It's two guys filling the same role in the same position at the same time. Their anchor singularity means that they face so many balls that no one else can actually come in to score fast. They're taking up almost the entire road, and there's no room for anyone else. Pakistan selectors originally suggested that the best batters should face the most balls, but that idea has been out of date for a long time in T20. However, these guys have faced an incredible amount of deliveries. Only 2 pairs in T20 internationals have scored more than 2,000 runs. Ireland's top order duo of Andy Balbirnie and Paul Stirling have 2,184. Babar and Rizwan are more than 1,000 runs ahead of them. That is a remarkable effort that should be shouted from the rooftops. In 10 games, they've made more than 100 runs in a partnership. And Pakistan has won every single one of them. So when the two don't go out, it works. Perhaps the most fun version was when England made 199 and Pakistan chased it down without losing a wicket. That's the dream. Two guys you can't get out who can still score. And yet, despite all those match-winning duets, they're not scoring at 8 runs and over together. They average a stupid amount of runs, but without much boom. So there is a dichotomy with them. If they pass 100, they win games. The nightmare is when they meet, chew up balls, and then go out. And that is the problem with an anchor. But this is a double anchor. Nothing stops the shift from drifting more into trouble than them, but it also stops them from finding any speed. An anchor on their own is an issue. 2 anchors is a problem. And when neither kicks on, it's a nightmare. But they're also the ultimate insurance. They give you a par score or near enough almost every game they play together. So they can't be thrown away. Pakistan was 6 for 2 in this game against India. It would be unfair to say that that's impossible with Babar and Rizwan, because any team can lose early wickets when Jasprit Bumrah is bowling. However, when facing the world's best bowlers in tournaments, do you want a nearly guaranteed total from 2 of the best at not being dismissed, or the lottery of a side with 5 openers who you hope can score quicker? That is the question. But in truth, when Pakistan had a great bowling attack, par scores made sense. Now they have to put pressure back with the bat. Despite good chances, the Rizwan and Babar era didn't win. And that was with peak Shaheen Afridi. So Pakistan's choice seems impossible. Do you pick the Volvo that will not break down and hope you outlast the other teams? Or shall you try and break a land speed records with a sports car that may not last the race? Over the last few years, they've tried the anchor singularity. Now they're going with option B. Cognitive dissonance is the psychological discomfort people feel when they hold 2 or more conflicting beliefs at the same time. As in, you need Babar and Rizwan, and you don't need them. Both are true, and both are terrifying. But there is also cognitive dissonance in their game. Babar and Rizwan are great against spin. Of all the batters with 750 runs against it, they have the 2nd and 4th best averages. So, they are good against spin. But when you look at strike rate, they are the 34th and 36th best. They are excruciatingly slow against the spinning ball, like being stuck behind a tractor on a single lane road. So, are they good against spin? There are 2 years when Rizwan was averaging more than 60 against the turning ball. That should blow your mind. However, Babar has 3 of them, including 1 calendar year where it was more than 100. So how on earth could these guys not be good against the turning ball? And yet the overwhelming memory of these two against spin in T20s is both of them rotating with absolute ease against spinners who couldn't get them out with a blowtorch. Yet between these two, they've never had a true strike rate above 11. And that was Rizwan in 2019 when he faced only 55 balls. Babar's 2020 was really their best year against the tweakers, and despite all those runs, he was still only 7.5 runs ahead on true strike rate. It is actually quite unbelievable how slow these two are when facing finger spin. Babar averages just over 40 and Rizwan almost 60, and yet both score at a strike rate of 112. How can you be so good and yet so slow? You can't average what these guys do without being world-class against spin. And yet they've also seen the entire game evolve right in front of them. They've seen players like Shivan Dubé and Harit Klaassen become famous for hitting sixes off spinners. And yet neither of them has changed all that much. They haven't looked around and surveyed the game to think that their methods might need to be changed. They have found their formula, and even as the world has sped up, they've remained pedestrian. Pakistan coach Mike Hesson was asked about his courage in talking openly about Babar and Rizwan's issues. He didn't understand the question at first, because it's simply his job. Anyone would want these players in the side on talent, but they're playing ODI cricket in T20s, and Hesson is trying to win 20-over tournaments. He has chosen to do that without them. It isn't about courage, it's about speed. You cannot beat the best teams nudging finger spinners around. And Pakistan's problem isn't that Babar and Rizwan are bad. That would be simple and easy. It's that they're too good to drop and too slow to thrive. So that cognitive dissonance kept Pakistan in a traffic jam while India, Australia and South Africa are flying by in the fast lane. But you take Babar and Rizwan out and Pakistan go even slower by collapsing. Hesson is finding the simple truth of Pakistan cricket right now. They are the most talented players and yet so incredibly flawed. It isn't about courage for Hesson, it's how you answer an unanswerable question. To collapse or not to collapse? To hit or not to hit? These are their questions. Of course, cars have their own issues even without pedestrians. The more cars on the road means increased traffic. Most people who don't understand the details suggest that all we need to do is build more freeways. However, when a new highway is built and it's the best option, everyone uses it, which then blocks up that road. In basketball, the same thing happens. The legendary Wilt Chamberlain scored 50 points a game one season, and yet his side didn't win the title. In the Eastern Conference Finals, they played Boston, who had Bill Russell, the league's greatest defender, and a plan: stop Wilt from shooting. He went from taking 39.5 shots a game in the regular season to 26.8 in that playoffs. A third of his shots just vanished, and because none of the other players were used to scoring, they couldn't lift their production. During their peak from 2021 to 2024, Babar and Rizwan faced the most balls per innings of any players. Having two batters from one team doing this is just extraordinary. Pakistan basically couldn't be bowled out because of their anchor singularity. But they also couldn't touch the heights of other teams. They're stuck in the suburbs looking at the rest of cricket's skyscrapers. But what is truly amazing is that Pakistan had two players facing basically half their deliveries. That stopped their team from being bowled out or making huge totals. In a world of fast-scoring T20, they looked like dinosaurs. On the road, speed kills. On a cricket road, a lack of speed kills. For Pakistan, of course, it is always more confusing, because speed kills and a lack of speed kills. You can't win by choosing Babar and Rizwan, and seemingly you can't win without them. Are you as chronically online as Moses Enriquez? Then here's another video for you. Or if you also like books and stuff, you can buy my new one on the art of batting. If you loved this video, hit the bell icon to be notified for more.